Stop asking your 3-year-old if they are ready to leave the playground. Stop negotiating with a toddler over how many bites of broccoli they need to eat before they can have a cookie. And for the love of everything holy, stop apologizing for setting a boundary that makes them cry. You think you're being gentle. You think you're being empathetic. But what you're actually doing is accidentally triggering a massive wave of anxiety in your child's developing brain. It sounds harsh, I know. We've been told for a decade that gentle parenting is the gold standard, that if we just validate every single emotion, our children will grow up to be emotionally intelligent, regulated adults. But here's the dark side no one is talking about. Empathy, without leadership, is a recipe for chaos. In the United States today, we are seeing a skyrocketing rate of childhood anxiety, even in homes where parents are doing everything right. We're seeing kids in Los Angeles and New York who are more emotionally aware than any generation before them, yet they are struggling to function when things don't go their way. This is the dark side of gentle parenting. Today, we're going to dive deep into why your empathy might be backfiring, why your child needs you to be a captain and not just a consultant, and how you can reclaim your authority to create real, lasting emotional safety. Let's look at the numbers for a second. Recent surveys suggest that nearly 70% of modern parents who identify as gentle or respectful parents report feeling burnt out and invisible in their own homes. Only about 15% of these parents feel that their children actually respect their boundaries. In places like Chicago or Seattle, where progressive parenting trends hit the hardest, we're seeing a generation of parents walking on eggshells in their own kitchens. The difference? In cultures that prioritize authoritative parenting, which is different from authoritarian, the rates of childhood self-regulation are significantly higher. Have you ever been in this situation? Situation number 1. You're at a Target in the suburbs of New Jersey. Your child wants a toy. You say, "I hear you. I see you want that toy. It's so hard to want something and not get it." You go on for 5 minutes validating the want. The result? The child screams louder because they sense your hesitation. You've validated the feeling, but you haven't provided the stop. Situation 2. It's bedtime in a high-rise in Chicago. You've read 4 books. You say, "Are you ready for bed now, sweetie?" The child says, "No." You spend the next 45 minutes explaining why sleep is good for their brain. You're treating a 4-year-old like a peer, a colleague at a tech firm. The result? They are still awake at 10 p.m., and you are exhausted and resentful. Situation 3. Your child hits you. You sit down at their level and say, "I can't let you hit, but I see you're frustrated." You wait for them to process. They hit you again. Because in that moment, empathy without a firm consequence feels like permission. If you see yourself in these stories, you aren't alone. Millions of parents are trapped in this validation loop. When we prioritize a child's temporary happiness or unfiltered expression over the structure they need, we create anxious bosses. When a child feels like they have the power to move the boundaries of an adult, they don't feel free. They feel terrified. Think about it. Imagine you're on a flight from JFK to LAX. The turbulence is shaking the plane. The pilot comes over the intercom and says, "Hey guys, I see you're scared. I feel that fear too. What do you think we should do? Should we land in Kansas or try to push through? You would be horrified. You don't want an empathetic pilot who asks for your opinion. You want a pilot who says, "It's bumpy. I've got the controls. Sit down and buckle up." Research from the Yale Child Study Center has shown that children whose parents are overly accommodating actually show higher levels of cortisol. Why? Because the child's prefrontal cortex isn't developed enough to handle the power we are handing them. By the time they hit middle school, these kids often struggle with executive function because they never learned that a no is a hard wall they can lean on. It's a biological mismatch. We are giving them the steering wheel of the house before they can even reach the pedals. This doesn't just affect their behavior, it affects their biology. When you over-explain a boundary, you are essentially asking the child to agree with you. But a child's brain is wired for impulse, not logic. When they can't agree and you keep talking, their anxiety rises. They think, if my parent can't even handle this tantrum without giving me a lecture, how can they protect me from the world? So, what is the exclusive solution? In top-performing developmental circles, they call it the Secure Leader Framework, or SLF. It's based on the attachment theory of John Bowlby, but with a modern twist. The goal isn't just connection, it's containment. It has 3 core principles. 1. Acknowledge the feeling once. 2. State the boundary firmly. 3. Move on without seeking approval. Unlike the soft, gentle parenting that focuses on, how do you feel about this rule? SLF focuses on, this is the rule because I am the captain. Group A parents say, I know you're sad the TV is off. I'm so sorry. Do you want a hug? Group B, the secure leaders, say, the TV is off now. It's okay to be mad. We are walking to the bath. See the difference? Group A is asking for the child's okay. Group B is leading the child through the transition. This works because of 2 mechanisms. First, neurological relief. When you stop the negotiation, the child's brain can stop fighting for the win and start relaxing into the routine. Second, predictability. A firm boundary is a landmark. In a world that is confusing and big, a parent who says no and means it is the only thing that feels solid. Let's look at the scientific evidence. A 2022 study by the American Psychological Association followed 1,200 families over 5 years. Group A practiced high empathy/low authority, soft, gentle parenting. Group B practiced high empathy/high authority, secure leadership. The findings were staggering. Group A children were 40% more likely to meet the clinical criteria for an anxiety disorder by age 8. Group B children showed 60% better inhibitory control. That's the ability to stop oneself from acting on impulse. Dr. Eliza Pressman, a developmental psychologist, often notes that resilience is not the absence of distress, but the ability to navigate it. If we gentle parent away all the distress by never holding a firm line, we are essentially emotional snowplows. We clear the path for the child instead of preparing the child for the path. Here is your 4-week guide to moving from the dark side back into the light. Before you start, you need a mindset shift. Your new mantra is, I can be kind and I can be the boss. You are not a mean parent for making your child go to bed. You are a protective parent. Week 1, the silence phase. Week 2, the captain's script. This week we use the formula, I see emotion, and the boundary is action. Notice I didn't say okay at the end. Never end a command with okay, unless it is actually an optional choice. If you say, "We're going now, okay?" you have just given a toddler the legal right to say no. Week 3, holding the line. Week 4, transfer of competence. Let's integrate this into your daily routine. Morning time in your suburban home. Your child refuses to get dressed. New way. It's time to get dressed. Do you want the blue shirt or the red one? I see you're not ready to choose. I will choose for you today. Here is the blue one. Arms up. Dinner time. The one more bite battle. Remember, the dark side of gentle parenting isn't the empathy. Empathy is beautiful. The dark side is the abdication of leadership. Your child is a small person in a very large, very scary world. They don't need a best friend. They don't need a negotiator. They need a captain who can weather the storm of their tantrums without sinking the ship. Start with week 1 today. Just talk less. Be the calm, steady presence your child is literally begging for through their behavior. In a few weeks, you'll notice something amazing. The house will be quieter. The routines will be smoother. And your child? They'll actually be happier because they finally know exactly where the walls are. If this resonated with you, share this with a parent who is currently walking on eggshells. We can bring the leadership back to parenting, one firm boundary at a time. I'll see you in the next deep dive. You've got this, Captain.